With the recent price increases, I think it's safe to say that this is the worst competitive position I've ever seen Xbox be in. They not only increased the price of their consoles not once, but twice, as you can see right here, but also they attempted to make games $80 like Nintendo, but that backfired when they had a backpedal on that with Outer Worlds 2. You've got situations like the ROG Ally X, the Xbox version, costing $1,000, which is a little more than people were hoping for and expecting. And then beyond that, you've got the fact that most recently, Microsoft and Xbox decided to increase the price of Xbox Game Pass to a point where once upon a time, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate was considered to be a really good value, but not so much anymore, with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate now being $30 a month or $360 a year. They did try to add more value, as they say, by including things like Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft Plus Classics. And then beyond that, they did increase the streaming quality for Xbox Cloud Gaming. The quality is now up to 1440p, but still a 50% price increase over features that not everyone may necessarily use, and forcing Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers to pay that extra $10 a month for things that they may or may not want. It's just something that's not going down well. I mean, when you look at the competition right here, you can see that Xbox Game Pass, the Ultimate version, is sitting at $360 a year, where something like PlayStation Plus, even at the highest tier, the premium PS Plus subscription, you're only looking at $160 a year. Pair all of that with the fact that Xbox is basically going third party and having their games out on basically competing platforms. It just renders the Xbox platform as a whole moot, and its value just diminishes significantly. In the responses, you can see that people have been ratioing Xbox Game Pass's official Twitter page when they said two words, more rewards, people saying things like, well, fine, I'm going to unsubscribe then. You can see right here, posts showing screenshots of subscription cancellation are some of the top posts in this thread. Even industry professionals like Daniel Ahmad are not pleased, saying things like, when I said I wanted the 360 era back, I didn't mean $360 a year. Or Tom Warren from The Verge here saying and highlighting and pointing out the fact that, that means that $360 a year at that price point, that's more than the Xbox Series S was when it first launched, when that was $300. Though, of course, with the recent price increases, Xbox Series S is now sitting at $400, and we're looking at price points up to $800 for a 2 terabyte version of the Xbox Series X. Utterly ridiculous for, 5-year-old hardware. Now, during this crucial time period when Xbox is very quickly losing a lot of grace and a lot of goodwill, it is important for them to respond well, to respond gracefully, and frankly, to listen and reduce that price point, that monthly price point for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. But the response that Xbox provided is dismissive at best, and it's only made the backlash worse. Now, you know what is impossible to dismiss? The craftsmanship of the sponsor of today's video, Wyrmwood Gaming, makers of incredibly crafted tables and accessories for tabletop gaming. What I've got for you right here is one of their top-of-the-line Prophecy gaming tables that I purchased recently, and it is absolutely gorgeous. The fit and finish for both the table and the chairs are simply immaculate. Like, you wouldn't think it's a gaming table at a glance, it just looks like a high-quality piece of furniture. But once the toppers come off, you get to experience its many tabletop gaming benefits. The play surface can be raised and lowered for different use case scenarios with this crank. Wyrmwood's Prophecy gaming table in particular being the only gaming table in the world right now with this feature, being able to pause a tabletop game underneath the toppers so you can have dinner and then resume the game later. The play surface itself is double-sided, one side with upholstery and the other side with wood, so great for different tabletop gaming scenarios. And then we have these magnetic rails that make for a really convenient and customizable placement of modular and attachable accessories like cup holders and whatnot. The chairs themselves have storage space underneath the seats for even more added convenience, and you just feel good playing on something that looks so gorgeous and feels so premium. This particular table also fits 8 people comfortably for big gaming nights or big dinner parties. But beyond the premium Prophecy table, there are also tons of other table options to choose from that come in all shapes, sizes, and wood types, including ones that are more affordable but still offer great craftsmanship and convenient gaming features, with tons of customization options to really make these tables your own. If you're in the market for high-quality gaming tables that double as premium furniture, Wyrmwood has got you covered. And you can get yours by using my link in the description and comment section below. All right, so let's look at Xbox's response to this whole situation. But before we get to the main response, I do want to highlight something that Sarah Bond said in an interview from Tokyo Game Show 2025 when asked about how viable Xbox Game Pass is as a business by news outlet GameWatch. And Sarah Bond's response was very positive, stating that Game Pass took in $5 billion in revenue and said that it's a profitable business, and as more creators join Xbox Game Pass, payments to creators increase, so we think it's a good business for creators. Except if it's really that good of a business model, you would have no need to increase the price point of monthly fees by a whopping 50%, to the point where it's $360 a year. Money that is basically a full-ass console or a wide variety of really high-quality games, whether it's AAA at full price, or whether it's indie games that are sold at lower price points, or really high-quality games that have gone on sale. And, at this point, at that price point, you'd be better off fully, owning, or at the very least having full access to your games without a subscription requirement. You'd be better off spending $360 a year on just purchasing full games. To come out there and talk about how profitable this business is, and then go ahead and raise the prices on us on such a significant and rapid level that it gives you whiplash. Like, it's just hard to trust anything Xbox says with the way they like to paint pictures that don't actually align with the reality or with the actions that they're pursuing. But here's the one that I really want to highlight. On October 2nd, 2025, shortly after the 50% price increase for Game Pass Ultimate was announced, news outlet The Verge spoke with Microsoft Director of Gaming and Platform Communications, Dustin Blackwell, and this is all he had to say about the price increases and the mass backlash that's been ensuing. He said, "We understand price increases are never fun for anybody, but we're trying to reinforce by adding more value to these plans as well. It's something we don't take lightly, and we're listening to the feedback of players in the community to try to provide them with more of what they're asking for." Nobody asked for a 50% price increase. Nobody wanted to pay $30 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And if you understand that price increases are never fun for anybody, then why the hell do you do it? Or why the hell do you do it to such a massive degree? And they say they want to add value to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, hence the addition of things like Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft Plus Classics games, as well as enhanced cloud streaming. But thing is, there are a lot of people who may have already played a lot of those Ubisoft Classics, or people who don't necessarily partake in Fortnite. And if they do partake in Fortnite, all they can basically play is Fortnite, given that it's a live service that you almost have to treat as a part-time to full-time job to be able to keep up with all of the rewards and all of the events, which gives you less time to play all of the remaining games in the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate library. So it'd be one thing if they made, Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft Plus Classics like an additional option that you can slap on top if you find the value in that on top of Ultimate. But the fact that they're forcing that on people who may not necessarily find the value in those additions, and forcing everyone to pay $30 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, a 50% increase, that just creates a scenario where people feel like, Xbox Game Pass is no longer the best value in gaming, and it's no longer as viable an option or as smart an option if you want to play as many games as possible as just full-on buying games outright. Just an incredibly tone-deaf response that doesn't answer any questions, that ultimately dismisses people with feigned, we know it sucks, when you don't really care, because otherwise you wouldn't have pulled a move like this. Combined with this whole we're listening to feedback bullshit that they keep spouting, except if they had actually listened to any feedback whatsoever, took feedback seriously, we wouldn't be in this situation. They would never have chosen to increase Game Pass Ultimate price by $10. They would have never set that price point to $30 a month or $360 a year. That is actually insane. And speaking of backlash, I have not seen backlash against Xbox like this since Don Matrick announced that Xbox One, once upon a time, was supposed to be an online-only device. You look at the recent Game Pass videos that Xbox released on their channel highlighting Xbox Game Pass Essential, as well as Xbox Game Pass Premium and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and you can see the likes to dislikes ratio is looking really, really awful, with near universal negative feedback, as you can see right here. And scrolling down, all the comments are highlighting the fact that Microsoft and Xbox are really losing the plot. Here's one comment highlighting how we're talking about $800 for a 5-year-old console, $1,000 for a handheld, $30 a month subscription, 0 exclusives, canceling projects, tons of employees laid off, Xbox is cooked is one of the top comments here. Other folks highlighting that they were willing to pay $20 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. 20 was acceptable, but 30 is pushing the value out the window, says this individual. $30 now, y'all crazy. So these are the top comments. There's just near universal dissent against this. And then looking at social media posts, you can see that Microsoft's recent price increase for Game Pass has gone viral, with tweets like this saying Xbox really woke up and said either suicide or give up. The degree to which this decision is being mocked highlights just how displeased people are by this announcement, with posts like these garnering millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes. Other posts are highlighting the fact that Game Pass Ultimate's price increase didn't just impact America, but a lot of countries around the world. And in some countries, we're not just talking about a 50% price increase, we're talking about a 100% price increase. So in Brazil, for example, the price of Game Pass Ultimate actually doubled, with an individual from Brazil having posted the following on Reddit. Here in my country, Brazil, Game Pass went from 60 Brazilian reals to 120 Brazilian reals. They literally double the price. People here are outraged. And then in other countries, we're talking about more than double. So in South Africa, they went from 119 rands for the PC only Game Pass to 249 rands. And when you do the calculation, that ultimately amounts to a 109% increase. We're literally a third world country. Good luck to them in retaining anyone in these regions. People are finding these new prices to be so outrageous that they're mass canceling Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. In fact, people discover that if you go to the website to cancel your Xbox Game Pass subscription, it looks like this because it was overloaded shortly after the announcement that prices would increase. The volume of people who canceled Xbox Game Pass was so significant that the website actually crashed. And this is something that people are celebrating, with this post from Wario64 highlighting the crashed website, garnering, 4.6 million views and 81,000 likes. Same thing goes for this discussing film post, highlighting how the website to cancel Game Pass subscription has overloaded. This has garnered 9.1 million views and 135,000 likes. And it's not just the Game Pass subscription cancellation website crashing that indicates the mass rush of people canceling that subscription. You can also look at Google Trends and see that the term cancel Xbox Game Pass has skyrocketed ever since that price increase from $20 to $30 a month was announced. And I mean literally skyrocketed. You can see that the peaks that we've seen in recent hours and days far exceeds what we have seen previously when it comes to the trend of cancel Xbox Game Pass. And then from there, we have tons of memes and people expressing just utter bafflement, all garnering tens of thousands of likes, hundreds of thousands to millions of views. I mean, you can see right here that this situation is very much going viral in ways that I don't even think Microsoft really anticipated. I'm sure they expected some backlash, but not to this degree. Right here, we have somebody quoting this video in which the Xbox Game Pass official social media insists that they base their decisions recently off of listening to feedback. The exact quote being, Xbox Game Pass is getting an upgrade. We have listened to your feedback, and now you have even more freedom, ... And then looks inside, 50% price increase. People are like, what kind of feedback are you listening to? Because this is the least thing people wanted. Joe from Seattle also making fun of the whole "we have listened to your feedback" claim that they say is what led to the recent price increases and changes to the service. Genuinely, what feedback could have possibly led you to a 50% price increase, says this individual. This has garnered 1.7 million views and 65,000 likes. And then the community notes highlight that while Xbox insists that every tier of Game Pass is getting some kind of upgrade, some kind of additional feature to make up for the increased price point, that was not the case with PC Game Pass, which increased its price by 40% from $12 to $16.50 a month, but got no additional features. It just increased its price just because. So the price increase is already egregious, even with the additional features that they added to Game Pass. But with PC Game Pass in particular, the fact that no additional features were added and still came with a price increase. Yeah, I mean, that's just quite the audacity for Xbox to have, to think that this would fly under the radar. You've even got major news outlets like IGN putting out opinion pieces where they say things like, the Xbox Series console generation will be remembered primarily for one thing: Microsoft's greed. And on top of that, little things like the way they've made it more difficult for people to redeem their rewards points to get Xbox Game Pass subscriptions, now having to redeem their points for Xbox gift cards that then they can use for Game Pass subscriptions. And the fact that on top of everything, Xbox decided to remove Game Pass discount on Call of Duty add-ons. And you've got a situation where you're looking at Xbox at its greediest we've ever seen this platform, this company be, which says a lot given what happened with Xbox One. And there's some aspects to this which can be traced back to the tariffs, given that all platform holders, all of the big console makers, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, have increased price points for their hardware. But subscriptions like Game Pass and the price point of digital games from $70 to $80, like the digital side of things, is not impacted by tariffs. So the only reason Xbox increased Game Pass price points by 50% is because either the business is not as viable as they once claimed it to be, or they're just greedy as fuck and they increase these price points to utterly untenable degrees that simply cannot be sustainable in the current economic state when people are struggling to get basic necessities because all price points across all industries are increasing due to tariffs. So yeah, all this just fucking sucks, and my faith in Xbox has never been this low. This platform has just about taken every wrong step they could have in this generation of consoles. And to top it all off again, there's just no exclusives or, all of those companies that they purchase and all of the development studios that are now under their umbrella, they're either canceling them or laying people off or just like utterly butchering the ownership of these studios and the handling of these franchises. And this loss of faith in Xbox as a brand, as a platform, is not just something that's coming from me, but even the most ardent Xbox fans are starting to feel it, are speaking out against this. So Microsoft has quite the uphill battle to climb, but this time with a broken leg that is a result of them just smashing their own ankle with a hammer through these kinds of price increases and all these moves that generate some of the worst optics I've seen Xbox receive. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Xbox, its recent price increase, both in hardware and software and now in subscription, in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.